Okay, hello. I'm Michael Augustine. What's your name?
Aisha Tarsing.
All right. Gonna interview you about the biggest difference between public and private selves. So I chose that question. There are many interesting questions in this course and in the textbook, but I like this idea between public and private selves because I think there's a big role that's being played in social media and technology that's kind of creating a situation where people's public selves and private selves are becoming very different. I wanted to hear your thoughts about that. So let me ask you. So we delved into this idea of impression management, it's called, and the differences between our public and private selves. Oftentimes people refer to this idea of self as if we are all just one self. According to the book for the class you have seen before, Looking In, Looking Out, the authors make this statement. They say each of us has several selves, some private and others public. Often these selves are quite different. What do you think about that general idea?
Our public self, a lot of times, is who we want to be perceived as by the public or by whoever is looking at us. And our private self is the more true version of ourselves, who no one sees.
Right. So there's the private self, which is they refer to in the book as a perceived self, and the presenting self is the public image. So in what ways do you personally navigate the two, and do you feel that there's a big difference between each for yourself?
For myself, I think there is definitely a difference in how I conduct myself in public and how I conduct myself in private. But I wouldn't say that it is too far from my true self.
Okay. And so when you use social media, how different is that presenting self from your private self?
My presenting self, I would say I don't really share a lot of private things about myself on social media. And if I did, it would be for a reason. In my artwork and stuff, I have in the past shared private things about my past. But they were true things about myself.
Okay, so let's move on to childhood. So when you were a child, was there a big difference between your public and private selves?
No, there wasn't. When I was a child, I didn't. I was my true self in public and in private.
Okay, so not a big difference.
No.
But as you got older, do you think that changed? Was there an age that you could focus in on that said that maybe that change started to occur?
Yes. I think once I became a teenager, I was more self-conscious, and I realized that there was a difference between my public and private self, and I did have that distinguishing factor.
Okay, so with the popularity of social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, what do you think will happen to people's identity or impression management in the future? Or maybe before that, what do you think is happening to it now?
I think that with the rise of new platforms like TikTok and Instagram and all these other places, there is, for some people at least, it seems like there is no genuine identity. And the identity is whatever is popular or whatever they perceive to be cool or interesting. And I believe that if that continues, that a lot of these hard time with their true selves and who they really are, because they are performing a lot of the time.
Yeah. So moving into the future, is it something that concerns you about society and people? Do you think this could be a negative thing for people's mental health?
Yes, it is already a negative thing,
Mm.
and it's already very concerning, especially for the younger generation and the teens who cannot stop looking at their phones because of social media.
Is there a possible way for people to have a kind of authentic presenting self?
Right. It is possible for those who, I think it depends on the person. I think some people who are genuine and sincere people, even on social media, that's who they will also be. And the people who are not so genuine and sincere in their private lives, they will not be that in their public selves as well.
Yeah. So, one last question. Do you think it's healthy that people maintain a good balance between their presenting selves and private selves?
I think it is definitely healthy to maintain a balance, and if anything, limiting usage of the social media would be a place to start.
I understand what you mean. People use these things too much, they might end up losing their private self, losing their identity. And then what they see as the presenting self is kind of just an image that doesn't really represent them.
Right.
Well, I do appreciate, thank you for taking the time answering the questions. So thank you again for a good course and very interesting topics.